Recording now. It is all right. We are live. So let's go check out, refresh the YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and thump this out on the Twitter. My videos. Mine. It's my video model. Sorry.
Dog.
Yeah, dog. The Pals Packer Showdown. Nope, that's not it. Content. Where's it at? All right. Where's the page? There's the page. And the Matt Nagy Breaking Point episode is here. Oops, I should have done that differently. Let's do this. Post that there. The Twitter here. And that's the Twitter there. Boom. All right, so we'll go ahead and just retweet these out. Hey, Jack. We see you in here,
Hi, Jack.
Jack left, though. We have nobody else in here.
Oh, what's up?
That hurts. That hurts. All right, let's one more thing here. There's a Tainted glove. That retweet. Oh, this is gonna be for this. Shall be a fun one. The Bears. Bear down. Fire Matt Nagy. White Sox. Chicago Sting. Oh, wait, no, wrong. Dune and Curb. Your enthusiasm. Bam. All right. That's shared. You got yours shared? You shared it out?
Yep, I did.
And I'm going to share it with those turds in the DM.
They're overrated.
Ain't it pooping? All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and play the intro, and then we'll go and
everyone who's seeing this gets to see how the sausage is made.
Correct. So here we go, and we'll be starting now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's time for the Tainted Glove, starring your favorite man of questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And the Holy Reverend K-Fidz himself. It's go time, so grab a beer, grab a bite, and settle in. It's time for the Tainted Glove.
Aloha. Today is Monday, October 25th, and thank you for joining the Tainted Glove. I am the man of questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand, and with me as always is my partner in crime, my co-host, my running mate in Las Vegas, the Honorable Reverend K-Fidz. And our intention today is to try and make more points than a Matt Nagy offense. So with that, K-Fidz, take it away.
Oh, welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys, everybody tuning in. It's a Monday night where we're sitting here pretending to be the podcast version of Peyton and Eli doing their awesome broadcast. I'm so glad they're back. I got the captions on. You got to have the captions on for that. But
oh, yes.
This is another week. It's now we're deep into October. We've got October weather all around us. I can notice people are wearing sweatshirts and hoodies a lot more frequently than T-shirts and awkwardly short cut jean shorts. And when I say that, I mean myself, not wearing my short cut off jean shorts because I wear the Daisy Dukes, and they told me to stop wearing those to school. So
yes, please don't.
But no, this is welcome though. We got a lot to talk about this week. We got some sad Bears venting, I guess we want to call it. We might have some angry things to say, but we've got other stuff to talk about too. We got some hot stove sports stuff to talk about. We're talking a little bit about the CBA and the potential baseball lockout that may be coming possibly sooner than later, maybe even. And I'll let Pete kind of dig into his little theory of potentially something very special brewing next spring for both the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox here on the West Coast. So that, and we're obviously going to cover the release of Dune and your favorite Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm season premiere, watching out for glass windows and or doors in the process. So
and don't be a COVID hoarder.
And don't be a COVID hoarder, Albert. um, so I guess let's get right to it. I mean, it's the elephant in the room, or maybe it's the rhino, or maybe it's the triceratops, maybe the brachiosaur. I don't know. Whatever it is, it can't call plays offensively for sure, and it has COVID. So what am I? That could be a riddle, but we'll just call it Matt Nagy. Let's go. Bears got blown out this weekend. Got humiliated. Gave up 35 points at half. They were down. Was it 35-3?
Yes.
Just got destroyed, manhandled by Tom Brady and the defending world champs, showing how far they are out of the range of being a class organization in the league right now. And so with that embarrassment, 2 weeks in a row, first to Aaron Rodgers, who's told us that he owned us, and then the next week to Tom Brady, who just teabagged us instead. It's been a pretty rough couple weeks, and now the Bears locker room is a giant petri dish of COVID outbreak. Matt Nagy's in isolation. A couple other players are in isolation, and the Bears, even Sunday before the game, lost a couple key players, including an offensive lineman, to the COVID mitigation process. So let's get right to it, man. How are you feeling? Was that reminded me of the Green Bay game in 2014 or 2013, where they were up 42-0 at halftime, and basically was the Dick Duran era, or not Dick Duran, the Mark Trestman poltergeist preacher era. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts? Holy crap, that was rough. I ate a giant. Just to, it was a comfort food. I ate my feelings.
I wound up eating my feelings too. I had a giant bowl of Tim Hortons birthday cake cereal that was provided to me courtesy of Jeff the Giant, who sent it to me all the way from British Columbia. But there's a couple things to say before I go into what I really want to say. The Bears are now in the enhanced protocol. So that means all of them are being tested every day, regardless of vaccination status. So each player will be tested for COVID every day. So, and remember, games will not be forfeit. And the Bears are going to have to make do. So you could very well see some more roster shuffling due to COVID, and more who's that guy coming in, just because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on to the game. And the other thing I'll say is Mark Trestman. There is someone that I think he looks like, and if you go back and look at him and look at this character, I would hope you would agree with me. He looks like Waldo from the Van Halen Hot for Teacher video. Go look at the two of them. Go look at them. I'm telling you, that's a young Mark Trestman in that video. But getting to the game.
I mean, I think for me, a young Mark Trestman literally still is the preacher from Poltergeist 2. That's the young Mark Trestman. To me, God is in his
Go look at Waldo from the Hot for Teacher video.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But
I can watch that video. But that's
yes, I can watch that video at all times.
That and Cradle of Love, my two favorites as a kid growing up.
Yes. But so getting to the game, I was ecstatic when the Bears won the toss and decided to take the ball. I'm like, that's great. You take the ball, keep it away from the goat, so that you're not trailing 7-0 by the time you touch the ball. And I know the theories about you get the if you win the toss and defer, you get the extra possession to start the second half. I know all those theories, but why would you want to give Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady the ball? It's very simple. Why would you want to give him the ball? And even so, the Bears knew that they were receiving first because they decided to take the ball. And if Tampa Bay would have won the toss, they would have deferred. Mm-hmm. So the Bears knew they were starting on offense. The first play they come out with, an incomplete pass. Like, you can't script this stuff. You've planned for a week and you have an incomplete pass on your first play. And I forget who the original offensive lineman they had in was, who was basically a turnstile. And Justin Fields was getting his bell rung, to say the least. And this game completely bothered me because it showed, how far away the Bears are. And I'm not talking just from coaching. I'm talking everything from personnel, from coaching, from management, everything. It's to the point where you got Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, who, by the way, is also known as a choking quarterback come playoff time, cracking jokes about, oh, the Bears hold them here. It's only 35-3. They're still in it. No, quit patronizing, assholes. They're out. And
Tony Romo was trying, though. He was trying to just will it. He was just like,
yes,
I just stay positive. And for a second, he had me. He had me. He had me lured in like Matt Nagy has the McCaskey family lured in to his little con too. I was like, oh my God, they're in this. They are in this. Holy shit! And there's a fumble. Oh, never mind.
Yes, and so obviously Twitter was on fire as a result of this game. I know, shocking to say the least. And I got into a conversation with our buddy Buzz about the Bears and how, first off, let me say this. For all those people saying the McCaskies need to go, it's a $4 billion enterprise. They ain't going anywhere. This is their livelihood. So just get rid of that thought. Second, I totally agree that they need to clean house from top to bottom. And that means they need to have Ted Phillips focus on only one thing and one thing only. And it's the one thing he's actually good at. Getting Arlington Park done right. He's the one who had to come in and fix the mess that Michael McCaskey created when it came to the Soldier Field renovations in the early 2000s. That's how Ted Phillips got promoted. He had to come in and fix the mess that Michael McCaskey created between the Bears organization, the city, and the state. Ted Phillips is the one who fixed that. Now, you can argue about the results, but Ted Phillips is the one who fixed that relationship to get them to that point.
Absolutely.
So you need Ted Phillips to be focused on one thing and one thing only. Arlington Heights. Don't fuck the stadium up. Go to Las Vegas and see what the Raiders did with that stadium. I would love to see that stadium in Arlington Heights. From what I've seen from SoFi Stadium in LA, I'd love to see that stadium in Arlington Heights. From what I've seen of Jerry World in Dallas, I would love to see that stadium in Arlington Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fuck this up.
Don't put it out with your boot, Ted. Sorry.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
Second, Ryan Pace needs to go. Matt Nagy needs to go. Unfortunately, I think those two are locked at the hip, and I can actually see them using Justin Fields' failures as a way of saying, well, he's not ready yet. He needs more seasoning. We need more time with him. Someone needs more time with him, not you. For the offensive genius coach that Matt Nagy was sold as, 3 fucking points. 3. And I swear, you remember the joke when you were in school? Well, this might still apply to you, where sometimes you look at the clock and it seems to go backwards. That's what I think sort of the Bears offense is. They used to say 3 yards in a cloud of dust. 3 yards back in a cloud of dust is more like it with this offense. No, Jack, not Gately Stadium in Arlington Heights. Think of something like River Stadium in Arlington Heights or something like that, since Rivers is the official gambling partner of the Chicago Bears. And Rivers happens to be owned by Churchill Downs, which is also the company that owned Arlington Racecourse. Get where this is going? So they need to clean house. But the problem is they don't have anyone who understands the game of football to actually make football decisions. That's why you had Ernie Accorsi come in on loan from the New York Giants to help them hire the next GM, Ryan Pace, and also bring in their coach at the time, John Fox, who just happened to be a good friend of Ernie Accorsi. Just saying. It's also been talked about how the McCaskies ask other owners for advice and how to do things. Now think about that statement. You're asking your competitors, how should I do this? What?
Should I play these 2 aces or should I just go with the 7 deuce offsuit? Okay.
should I draft Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson with the number 3 pick? Oh, no. I would trade up to number 2 and go get Mitch Trubisky.
I would get a kicker. Shit.
So
Why not?
there's so much wrong here. And unfortunately, in my opinion, Ryan Pace has set this team back 10 years based on the bad management of the cap. But somewhat in his defense, a lot of teams are running into that this year, especially because the cap was lowered as a result of COVID and everything else. Yeah, Jack, go ahead and split those tens.
Stab you
And-
you do that.
Yeah. And it's not only that, he's in cap hell. A lot of teams are, to be honest. But he's traded away so much draft capital and has so much money invested in some players that there's no way you can get rid of them. Do you know what the dead cap hit is for Khalil Mack if they were to trade him? Just take a guess. I
Double
heard this.
digits, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's double digits.
It's like 20? 30?
30. I think I heard 32.
Holy. Just might as well just ride it out with one of the
That's
best
right.
linebackers in the game.
How much do you spent $10 million for Andy Dalton? He signed last year with Dallas for 3, and he had a bad year. Really? Akeem Hicks.
They could have got him the year before for like less.
Yeah, they could have. Exactly. He was cut. He was cut by the Bengals as a cap casualty.
That
Yeah.
Bengals team too.
Yeah, as a cap casualty. You could have got him for almost nothing. You could have got him for $3 million easy and saved yourself $7 million. You can't trade Akeem Hicks because he's a double-digit cap hit too, and he's hurt now. Robert Quinn, who's taking that? Who's going to take that? And you have more money invested in. I think this is how it was explained to me. You have more money invested in Khalil Mack than you do the entire offensive line. Now, this goes back to something we talked about previously before the season even started. I wanted Justin Fields redshirted. Why? Because the offensive line sucks. It's a turnstile. What are we finding out now? The offensive line sucks, and it's a turnstile. And if you looked at that kid on the sidelines in the second half of the game, he looked shell-shocked. And if you listen to his press conference after, he's basically sitting there saying, I've never been through this before. And frankly, I don't think he has the support group or the coaching staff to help him ride through this. I think this coaching staff is clueless. I think they are totally at a loss. You listen to press conferences, besides Nagy having his press conference in his car today or wherever it was because he was in COVID protocol and couldn't be in the building. He refuses to answer some questions. He gives the gobbledygook that you get, the word salad.
Word salad.
Yeah, he gives the word salad and fuck salad, but he gives the word salad to answer a question, which really doesn't answer it. It's like you throw a bunch, I've dealt with this in my day job before. People throw a bunch of crap at you, hoping you pick out what you want as the answer.
Oh, yeah. Throw shit against the wall and see what sticks.
Yes, exactly. So this is bad, folks. And if they maintain this current pace, if you look at their schedule for the next couple weeks, you honestly could see them lose through Thanksgiving. You figure they have San Francisco coming in on Sunday. They could very easily lose that game. Then I believe it's Pittsburgh on a Monday night, if I remember correctly. I see them losing that game. Then I think they get their bye week. And then I think it's Thanksgiving for they got Baltimore in there too. They got a game against Baltimore in there. I can see them losing that. And then they go Thanksgiving to Detroit. And thank God the Lions have Jared Goff, because they had a chance to win that game yesterday, and Jared Goff does Jared Goff things.
Yeah.
As the Lions are driving, what does he do? He throws the interception, the one thing he shouldn't do.
Yep. God.
So This is bad, folks.
And Matt Stafford,
Yes.
the Lions, which was nice.
I'm
Sorry.
sure he's loving every second of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Which, this is bad, folks. And it's only going to get worse. It really is, because I think the coaching staff is lost. I really do. I think everyone was sold a bill of goods with Matt Nagy, and they caught lightning in a bottle in 2018 with those 12 wins.
Well, on the coattails of Vic Fangio.
Yes, due to a record defensive performance,
Record turnovers, everything.
Yes,
They had.
yes.
I mean, how many of the points? I think even the offensive points per game was skewed because the defense scored an incredibly high amount of defensive points.
Yes,
and there's a touchdown pass to Kamara. All right.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, folks, looking at the 2018 season, I admit I was very excited for the 2019 season. Wally and I went to the Thursday night opener against the Packers that year. And I will tell you, it was a great time. Confidence was so high until kickoff. Then when they couldn't score, a familiar theme, by the way, you saw like maybe we were sold a bad bill of goods. And I think that's coming. And again, I don't want, and what's even funnier, if you listen to Matt Nagy, they spent 24 or 40, like a great 24 or 48 hours before the game together. Well, that becomes another problem now, because you know why? There's COVID running rampant in your locker room. And I pray to God that Virginia McCaskey was not on the plane with them.
Yeah, no shit.
I really do. Because she's in her upper, what is she, 96 or something?
Mm-hmm.
That's the last person you want to be around COVID. Have some respect for her.
Nagy's all like, give me a kiss.
Yeah.
Because I need it. Shut up, boy. Get your ass down. Holy smokes. Alvin Kamara has 30 points already in my fantasy league. What is going on here? What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so he has 109 receiving yards already, 29 rushing yards. I took the over in rushing, I think. Crap. Wish you could do total yards with him. I'd have taken 200.
Yeah, but it's going to get bad, folks. We haven't seen bottom yet. Bottom is coming. Bottom is coming. Now, I don't think this would ever happen in a million years, but I would love to have seen them announce this morning that Matt Nagy was being relieved of his duties.
Yeah.
And that they were initiating a search for a football czar, if you will. And I'm just throwing this name out because I don't think this would ever happen, but someone like a Bill Belichick, a Bill Parcells, somebody to be the top dog of this organization and drive all the football decisions. Now, one name I have heard is Peyton Manning. A lot of people are saying, get Peyton Manning in there because he's really smart and they think he would do good things and he knows how to win. The only way you're getting Peyton Manning in there is to give him an ownership stake.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you're getting him in. And frankly, I don't see the McCaskies doing that. So put that Peyton Manning pipe dream to sleep. Now, they also talk about the Monday Night Football guy. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. As a possible replacement too. Again, I want someone who's been there and done that. Now, if they want to bring someone else in as their apprentice to teach them, I'm all for it. But get someone that's been there and done that, not somebody this is the first time in the position, so let's let them learn on the fly. No, you're beyond that. This is a disaster. You're in cap hell. You're in draft hell. Your team sucks. You got no lines. You need somebody to come in and clean up the mess and understand that the mess is going to take 4 or 5 years to clean up.
Right. You know what sucks too is that we just did this with John Fox. John Fox
Yes.
came in to clean up a mess. He's a mess cleaner.
Yes.
John Fox was that. We're back doing exactly what we had to go through 5 years ago. And
Yes.
that's also unacceptable. And, Ryan Pace has had, I think he's a fantastic builder of defenses. I think that is one thing that he doesn't tend to screw around with. He's done a great job building a defense. And I think he actually, other than last year, I think he hires a pretty good defensive coordinators too. I mean, be honest, the biggest mistake he made was letting Fangio walk out the door. He should have paid him like a head coach and then some. He should have paid him more than Matt Nagy. I don't give a shit if he's like has a higher salary than your head coach. That guy should never have been allowed to leave Hallis Hall ever. He should have. That guy owns Aaron Rodgers. He was a perfect fit for that defense. His defenses were created to defeat Aaron Rodgers. And if you looked at his career record against Aaron Rodgers' worst games of his career, especially in the postseason, came against Vic Fangio defenses. He humiliated Rodgers quite a bit. And they let him walk. And that was a mistake. So, I mean, as much as I think the Pace is really good building a defense, and I think he's solid, if you can keep him around to just build defenses, that obviously wouldn't happen. Maybe, but he has hitched his horse to Matt Nagy. He gave Matt Nagy 2 quarterbacks. He's now hitched himself to 2 quarterbacks. You're seeing
not true. Nagy wasn't there when they drafted Trubisky.
Not Nagy. No, I'm saying that I'm talking about Pace. Pace drafted.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
He has hitched himself to 2 head coaches. He's hitched himself to 2 quarterbacks plus Foles and the Ginger Ninja plus others as well. The unfortunate byproduct is you could build a great defense, but if you're not doing the rest, I mean, the Matt Nagy stuff isn't inconceivable right now. It's unconscionable to have him as the head coach any longer. And, unfortunately for Pace, who I think he does see some talent. He hasn't been as great a quarterback. I mean, he's only chosen really one, but unfortunately you gotta, I mean, it's your guy. You hired your guy. He didn't get it done. It's a reflection of you, like it or not. He's got to go. And honestly, there's some really good possible GM candidates out there.
Mm-hmm. But
what's his name? Former Lions running back? Oh God,
Barry Sanders, not Barry Sanders.
No, not Barry Sanders. Riddick.
Oh yeah, that's who I was thinking of on the Monday night broadcast. Is Riddick?
Yeah, he would be a fantastic GM. So I mean, if getting rid of Pace means we're getting Riddick, I want it. I think Riddick is a good opportunity for the Bears to have a general manager that does think out of the side of the box in a modern game, and he's well known to the people because he's been on shows. He's a very good personality. He's also very good at explaining his thought process and breaking the game down too. So at a press conference, it's really nice to have someone that can break it down for the layperson. And again, he's got some good concepts, and I think that's a guy that you want to look at to bring in. I think Justin Fields would be in good hands. I just don't think Matt Nagy should be allowed anywhere near Justin Fields ever again. After this weekend, he almost got him killed.
Yes.
And when you look at the tape and you go back, and this is the stuff that you see on Monday and Tuesday, you see some of these experts going, what are they doing here? Like, this is actually being outcoached. They're actually breaking down how outcoached. He put Justin Fields in more danger Sunday than Justin Fields may ever be in his career against that defense and how easily they were blitzing and no protection, already down. And so, it's unfortunate, but Matt Nagy can't have his hands anywhere near Justin Fields. And if that means getting rid of Pace as well, it's a package deal, so be it. But whatever gets Matt Nagy away from Justin Fields faster is whatever route that I want to go. That's the route I want, whatever that is. If it's a tornado that blows them into Neverland and they never come back again and they're just in Neverland, and sorry, they're stuck on an island, so what? I'm fine. But no more, please. Stay away from Justin Fields. The kid already. It's not like he had less time. He actually, they broke it down. He actually had more time than Trubisky's had in his career as a Bears quarterback. Ironically enough, and everyone's like, "Hey, the kid had a hard time. It was moving too fast." Yeah, Trubisky had less time, and he still struggled, and he got shit on for it. So we are making one excuse for another in a weird way. But the fact is, neither are getting enough time to make a decision as a young quarterback, and you cannot do that to a young quarterback. He will be shell shocked for the rest of his career, always looking over his shoulder. If you keep getting him hit that way, Jay Cutler was never the same after Mike Martz killed him in New York on Monday Night Football, or was it Sunday Night Football? Where
I think it was Sunday night. 9
sacks in the first half.
Yes.
7-step drops. You're going to get a guy killed. Yep. Nagy's going to get Justin Fields killed because he's not protecting him. I don't care about the play calling alone. Get some blocking schemes to at least give the kid some time. And guess what? Your run game is fantastic. So I don't know. You have a guy that almost runs for 100 yards in the first half and gonna drop a guy back on a 7-step drop. In fact, play action, I think that I saw Justin Fields has a 99 quarterback rating on play action. They run play action less than 1/4 of the time when they run that offense. And they roll him out just as little. The two things that he does well, Nagy's here trying to prove that this quarterback's a passer instead of just playing. Again, we talked about it in the past, adapting to your talent. Nagy is doing to Justin Fields exactly what he did when he got his hands on Mitchell Trubisky, which is trying to beat his head against the wall and fit a square peg into a round hole instead of simply just fitting the round hole or the round peg in the round hole and just doing it like a normal person. No decent coordinator, any decent coordinator in the NFL can put up more than Matt Nagy's put up in his time as a Bears head coach. How many times have they scored less than 7 points or less? Like, it's insane.
Yes.
And that unfortunately means pace too. I pace. Sorry. If that means one for the other, sorry, not sorry.
Well, pace, in my opinion, fits the Bears model perfectly. This is a team that still lives in 1985. They don't comprehend that the game today is completely different than the game in 1985. You know, I've had people say to me, well, why don't the Bears run the 46 defense? Well, there's a couple of specific reasons. One, the talent level is nowhere near what they had in the 80s. And two, they can't do that anymore because they would be fined and suspended for what they did in 85 in today's game. People don't understand. This game today is built for passing. It's not built for 3 yards in a cloud of dust and strong defense. It's not. I mean, for God's sakes, if you breathe on a receiver, you get flagged for pass interference. You know, where before you had the 5 yards to chuck them and hit them, and that's what people would do. Now you can't even touch them. You touch them, it's a penalty. So this game is completely different. And unfortunately, this franchise, this organization, does not understand that the model from 1985 does not apply in 2021. That's all there is to it. And Pace is a guy who probably, when he was interviewed, talked the virtues of defense and, you know, everything else. And they're like, oh, this is someone we relate to. Why? Because they don't understand what today's game is. You know, and again, I used this before. I'll say it ad nauseum. Don Shula is the perfect example of a coach who adapted to the players he was presented with.
Mm-hmm.
He went from the 70s, Zonka and kick, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, run the ball. You know, Bob Greasy got sore arm just from handing the ball off, to Dan Marino flinging it all over the place. So it's just a case where they need someone who understands today's game to come in and fix this ship. And they need someone with enough, I'll say it, with enough balls to tell Ted Phillips, to go the fuck away. This is a football decision, not a business decision.
Yeah.
And they need someone to be given that authority too. That's the problem. If this person reports to Ted Phillips, all is lost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They have to report to. See, I think it would be a mistake even if they reported to George McCaskey, but he's the man in charge. This person needs to report to somebody.
Yep. And you know, and the thing, you know, as we continue to touch on the Bears a little bit, there have been positives. Obviously, the emergence of Justin Herbert, possibly putting David Montgomery into a position of having some sort of trade value with his contract up at the end of next year. Anyway, the Bears possibly looking to maybe secure some draft picks for that if the Bears season kind of continues to fall off the wayside. But Herbert has been an absolute revelation. He hits the hole hard. He's quick. He looks like an NFL running back. I'm actually very impressed. He's an Oregon guy, if I'm not mistaken. And the dude, he's quick-footed. He cuts hard. He's really, he's in the mold of what works well. I think especially when it's, I don't even know if the Bears. No, they don't think they do, but I think he's also would be really good one cut in a zone block, and so he looks fantastic. But while you see the emergence of something so positive like that, then you look at the emergence of the negatives that keep coming up. You touched on COVID. That's a sign that the locker room has been lost. That these guys don't care about taking care of themselves, and they don't care about the mitigation. It's like, oh shit, if I get COVID, so fucking what? I'm going to go party tonight with some random strangers. Whereas you got that. You're losing the clubhouse there, and it's spreading around, and it's a great microcosm of the Bears as a whole. The whole time Nagy's like, we got really close over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you did, because you weren't social distancing, and now you got COVID. That's how close you guys got there, Chief. He was trying to basically do the we want to hug each other after a loss thing. So that's bad. And then more so, you're losing the discipline on the field. This is the third player this weekend, the third player now in the last year that has been ejected from a game for throwing a punch. Now, tonight, Lattimore, the dipshit from the Saints, who was punched twice last year by Bears players, he's both of those two. But he got this tonight. He got stung with the retaliation when he got popped by Metcalf, and then he popped Metcalf back, and he's the one that got the penalty. And it was actually a pretty pain. It took them from inside the 2-yard line to easy spot. And so you have all this stuff is starting to happen. You're losing the locker room. And when you see on the sidelines, when you see your backup quarterbacks, and you see Justin, or Nick Foles and Andy Dalton giggling under their breath, saying this shit ain't working to each other on camera. Everybody knows, except for Matt Nagy, I think, that this is broken. And if Ryan Pace can't see that, then it's a problem. But he has lost the locker room. It's lost, and you're not going to get it back, no matter how many times you beat Detroit on Thanksgiving. Because every time he gets to that, it's a must-win game, Matt Nagy somehow shows up and does his job. So how about we just make every single game, if he doesn't win, he's fired. And maybe he'll win every single game from here on out. Because apparently when it's the game, if you don't win this game, you're totally fired. Somehow his teams play well. The Raiders, the Lions. This year, last year, who was it towards the end of the season?
Tampa was one, and then Minnesota, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they got 8-8 or whatever. They got into the postseason on a 500 record. Woo! And he does just enough to save his job. He is legitimately the pieces of flair at tchotchkes in Office Space. Just the bare minimum, just to make sure you have just the bare minimum flair, or that's all he can give you. Because after that, when it's time to actually coach against the big boys, he looks like he looks like Henry Winkler in Waterboy on the other side of the sidelines, wearing high heels and talking on a phone that's unplugged from the wall while wearing lipstick and crying to his mom, who isn't even on the phone. That's how bad he looks. He looks confused, and he looks lost, and he looks outcoached, and it's time to move on. And the longer they wait, the more this guy's going to influence that locker room, and it's going to take that much longer to push out the stink and the stench of what he left behind if they don't handle it sooner than later. And I think the Bears need to stop with this bullshit policy of in-game whatever or in-season whatevers, break the mold, drop the dude mid-season, and let's actually give the fans, for at least the second half of the season, some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Because right now, it doesn't feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel because we can't trust them to do the right thing. It feels like they're going to go with him another year.
And to your point about losing the locker room, there is a great example of this that happened last week. Jalen Johnson posting the letter he received for the fine for showing up late to practice. And him complaining, we were supposed to be here, what was it, at 9:15, and he showed up at 9:17 or whatever. Guess what? That's late.
Yep.
That's 2 minutes late, which is what? Late. And if you remember, I've seen this at Lambeau Field. Those clocks are set 15 minutes ahead. You know why? Because if you had a 10 o'clock practice with Vince Lombardi, you were expected to show up at 9:45. He won 2 Super Bowls, actually. How about that?
Not too bad having some discipline.
Right. And, it's just they're undisciplined. And what I think, is Ryan Pace a nice guy? Would it be someone I'd like to hang out and have a beer with? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the old saying, nice guys. And your job is not to be a nice guy. Your job is to coach this team up to win. And why? And another thing I'll say about them playing Tampa, do you think Todd Bowles and Tom Brady were a little ticked off about the way that game went last year, with Brady forgetting what down it was and losing that game because he forgot what down it was, and the Bears actually beating that Tampa defense? They came in with a chip on their shoulder. Why do you think it was 35-3 at halftime? Why do you think Tom Brady came out to start the second half behind center when it was 35-3? Yep. And your team had no chance of ever coming back, contrary to what, Tony Romo was trying to sell. And I'm sorry, Virginia McCaskey, you cannot think this is acceptable. You just can't. Your father is the founder of the NFL, by the way, is probably rolling in his grave watching this. And sadly, this is what's been going on since the end of the 1980s. It really is. This team is still trying to live off 1985. The guys from 1985, I don't think still don't have to buy a drink in this town. They just go, hey, look, Super Bowl ring, woo, and oh, come on, I'll buy you a drink. How sad? That's 36 years ago. 36.
Which means people that are basically 40 or older are the only ones that actually remember what it feels like.
Yes.
You're approaching half a century at this point.
Yes.
And I'm over here on pins and needles a little bit. It feels like the Bulls almost gave the game away, but the Bulls end up closing out, I think, 111 to 108. Bulls are now
it is a final.
4-0 Chicago Bulls. Welcome to the bizarro world where the best teams in Chicago right now are both owned by Jerry Reinsdorf.
And I got a couple things to say about that later, but about one particular team Mr. Reinsdorf owns.
Yeah. So let's end that with that. Let's go ahead and jump on over to a little bit of baseball. Speaking of, we talked about the old pigskin enough. I guess let's go ahead and jump with the first part. I mean, because the first part kind of really is going to affect the second part. But I came out this week. I'm not sure exactly where who the report came from specifically via social, but it basically is a story laying out how there's a really good potential that the Major League season is going to be delayed, that there's going to be some sort of lockout, and that there will be a work stoppage of some kind in 2022. So with that said, I know you've said it a million times on this show that you expect it, that not waiting and expecting for it, you're off, you're wrong, because it should be. And so for you, I mean, take us through everything, explain, I guess, to everybody what's going to cause a lockout? Why are we headed that way, and what's really going to be the big hangups as far as what's pushing that drive?
So the current collective bargaining agreement expires at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time on December 1st. So midnight, December 2nd, Eastern time. There will be no collective bargaining agreement between the owners and the Players Association. So basically what's going to happen is that free agency is going to be non-existent, because if there's no agreement in place, teams don't know how to build their roster. And when I say build their roster, not with players, but how to structure contracts, lengths of contracts, things of that nature. Because part of the CBA negotiation that's going on is setting a ceiling and a floor for salary. The players are reluctant to have a floor for salary because they want a true free market. And the owners want more. This is a term you're going to hear a lot more of. Some form of cost certainty.
Cost certainty?
Yes.
Is that like load management?
That's like load management, yes. They want to know that player X is signed for 3 years at, $10 million per, just as an example, so that they could build their roster accordingly. And part of the way you build the roster with, 3 million, 3 years at 10 per, is to understand that you have minor league players who, they may get, it may be 5 years before they become free agents, or 6 years on their initial deal, where you might get arbitration 1, arbitration 2, arbitration 3. It may go down to arbitration 1 as an example. Part of the thing they're talking about is having a player, once they pass the age 29 and a half years, become free agents, which, whatever, which I think players would be against, to be honest with you. They probably want that age much earlier, because that would maximize their earning capabilities, because in theory, they'd be going into their prime, not part of the way through it.
Right, which is a big risk as far as getting yourself taken care of in that final that final like swan song contract of your career.
Right. So with the CBA expiring on December 1st, you probably won't have a winter meetings, or if you do, it'll be a dog and pony show type of winter meetings where it's just talking about the current CBA and everything else. Fortunately for baseball fans like us, this is expiring in the off season, not in August of 1994, robbing the White Sox of a potential World Series chance. So they did one thing smart about this. I'll give them that. Now, there's talk that this could extend into March because there's really no driver to reach a deal until the end of February when spring training games are supposed to start. So really, this could extend into March, and you could have a free agent period like you had in the Machado Harper year. What was that, 2019? Where you don't have players signing. You don't have players signing until March. So buckle up, folks. It's coming, and this isn't going to be good. But before we started, I was telling Kevin, to me, the biggest sticking point is not the money. And don't get me wrong, the money is a huge sticking point. But there's one point that I think will be a bigger sticking point than the money. It will be the implementation of whatever the agreement becomes. Because the owners, primarily the GMs, are going to want it to be effective for players starting their careers in 2023, as an example. The players are going to want it retroactive to everyone immediately, which will cause absolute chaos for GMs trying to build a roster in their 5-year plan. You'll hear a lot of GMs talk about the board in their office with their 5-year plan because they have this guy in the minors that they expect to take over this slot in 2 years or things like that. It'll throw all of that into chaos. So that to me is going to be the biggest sticking point. And I could be completely wrong. It won't be the first time, probably won't be the last time. I could be completely wrong. And, you know, they harmoniously come to an agreement on November 30th and everything's hunky-dory and we move forward. No, I don't see it, but I hope I'm wrong. And to Sox fans out there, and I will say this about Cubs fans too, there is a specific reason why you have not heard about a Cub convention or a Sox Fest. They are using COVID as a cover to say, oh, we don't want to do it because of COVID and everything. No, because if there's a lockout, the players won't show up. And even the older players who are retired, you know, the
solidarity.
What's that?
Solidarity.
Yes, will not show up either because they'll want solidarity with the players' union. That's the real reason why you probably won't see a Sox Fest or a Cubs convention. And if they do manage to resolve it, you'll probably get something, but it'll probably be virtual. That's it. No autographs, none of that stuff. So that's really what you're looking at because even the alumni players, most of them will still stick with the union because you know why? A lot of them are getting pension checks from the union.
Yep.
So that's what you really have to deal with. Now, the other part is
bite the hand that feeds you.
Yes, exactly. And
by the way, this is just what is going. I don't know what they're saying right now, but they're focusing on this poor ball boy who looks like he very well could have been in The Hobbit. He might not even be small, but the way he looks with his beanie on and we're standing there, 10-year-old kid that's in like a large person's body. I don't know. It's pretty cracking me up. Yeah, I'm kind of like stuck over there, but I know.
And Dog wants to know if you're listening to me.
I mean, well, yeah, Dog. You just don't listen to you, Dog.
It's not listening. It's listing.
Listening, yes. Am I listening to you? I'm not listening. I'm not listening.
No, he's not listing yet. He hasn't had enough to drink.
Hold on, let me get on Craigslist. I got a list.
But
and so you mentioned this too, and when you talk about the collective bargaining too, we've got stuff that we got to deal with, and I think that's a big one is the service time stuff that Chris Bryant has been fighting for his entire career. That is something that has to be gone. The DH,
yes,
that's something that's going to have to be. This is something. I mean, KB is, as per last conversation we had a couple, today a little bit, but as per a discussion probably like a week and a half ago with his dad, it sounds like the DH is almost a certainty.
Yes, I agree with that.
As if it's the certainty. So in that sense, you've got a lot of kind of big changes that I think they have as negotiating tools as well to find some common ground here. But yeah, I don't have any hope that this is going to be a I don't have any hope that this is going to be a a pleasant experience by any means.
No, there's been 20 some odd years of quote unquote labor peace because they've been able to negotiate a couple of other CBAs, but the beating that the players took in the last couple it's payback time in their eyes.
Yep.
It's absolute pay. We've given you this, this, and this. It's time you give us something back. And, the players are going to point to the, $50 million a year each team gets for TV rights.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's a lot of teams, half of their salary.
Yep.
For someone like the Marlins, that's their whole payroll.
Like mandatory salary floor, is that something that's on the table?
That is something that is on the table. And the funny thing, I look back at, do you know when hockey went on strike in 1994 and they lost the entire season? Do you know who Chicago seems to have the biggest hawks in these things because Dollar Bill Wirtz led the charge for it. And do you know why he would not agree to anything? He agreed to a salary cap. He absolutely agreed to that. But the players wanted, okay, if you want to put a cap in place, that's fine. You have to put a floor. He did not want a floor because he wanted to just put as cheap as he could and collect the profits.
And that's where these owners like in Pittsburgh are like raking it in. They do the bare minimum.
Yep.
They play this game. They bring in people that are just gifted at playing that service time, cheap minor league deal. And Shreve is a great example. Like our guy Shreve, he's lucky. He's actually happy. The way they manipulated him this year guaranteed his contract for next year. So he doesn't have to worry about the CBA affecting his money for next year. He's got a job next year, which is great for him. But that wasn't the Pirates' intent. The Pirates' intent was to give another team control of Chasen for next year and making him thus more tradable last deadline. But they didn't have a market. There just wasn't a market, unfortunately, for him. So it didn't work out that way, but they did that with a lot of guys. There's going to be a lot of guys that they traded that had a little bit of extra control, and that's the game that they play. And those teams, those guys are actually probably taking in, it feels like they're taking in more money because they're the ones that are just like, they literally have a whirlpool with a motorboat engine, like a major league. They literally have to put Band-Aids on their propeller plane, to get from point B. So it sucks.
Yeah. And I want to respond to something that Yumper put. His comment was Steinbrenner hated the luxury cap due to teams not spending, getting money. He's absolutely right. I totally agree with George Steinbrenner on this point, which is a weird statement to make. Steinbrenner's point was he had no problem paying a luxury tax as long as the money he paid into that luxury tax went to the team's product on the field, not in their pocket. And that's the great example of that was the Miami Marlins before the Jeter team came in and bought him. If you want to look at a total fucking scam, look at the Miami Marlins. They got that stadium. That guy put that team up for sale the day after his lockout expired on getting that stadium. Because his agreement was he had to be there. He couldn't sell the team for 5 years after that stadium opened. He waited 5 years and 1 day, and that team was up for sale. He built MLB. He built Miami-Dade County. He built the state of Florida. He basically built everybody, lined his pockets, and he was gone. And that's what a lot of the big money market teams are afraid of. And I don't blame them. If you want to have a pool where teams have to dip into it towards the product on the field, most of them would say that's fine. But you shouldn't be putting it in your pocket as profit towards you when you didn't earn it. Boy, that sounds familiar. And I totally agree with Steinbrenner on this. And Steinbrenner, I know a lot of people say he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I agree. I think Steinbrenner does belong in the Hall of Fame, but he will never get in the Hall of Fame for two reasons. One, what he did with salaries, and two, the Dave Winfield stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, talking about the CBA, that fortunately before the CBA fiasco comes. We have award season. And it kicked off today with the Silver Slugger Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you had an opinion about one in particular.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that they released the list and they had the finalists for spots. So first base had the traditional. There's no no Jose Abreu, but Vlad Guerrero, Gurriel, Matt Olson from Oakland. Okay, you got second baseman Marcus Semien, Jose Altuve, DJ LeMahieu, Jorge Polanco. Third base.
How the hell is LeMahieu there? He had an awful year.
I don't know. Did I see a list? And this is AL. Okay, yeah, this is AL because Patrick Wisdom was one of the third basemen, which was kind of funny. You've got Rafael Devers at third, Jose Ramirez, Kyle Sager. That makes sense. Sure. Mm-hmm. Tim Anderson, Carlos Correa, Xander Bogaerts, Bo Bichette. That's awesome. Outfield. There's no White Sox on there, but Mullins, Hernandez, Judge, Tucker, Haniger, Gurriel, Renfroe, Arozarena. But then you got Shohei.
Hey, Rosarena.
You got Shohei, Jordan Alvarez, Giancarlo Stanton, Joey Gallo, Nelson Cruz with the DH. And then you have the catchers. And when you look at the catchers list for Silver Slugger, the word being Silver Slugger, they have left off one of the players that had one of the highest slugging percentages in baseball this year, Yas Grandal, who also had a 420 on base percentage, who also, in spite of a 240 batting average, was one of the most productive players in the game this year. Left off. And I'm looking at that, and you actually mentioned it too. It kind of feels like they're trying to give somebody that award. But
yes.
You leave off a guy that probably has the best credentials to stand up against that, and Yas Grandal's not included. And so disappointing to see his name off. I'm wondering if some of these people are still slaves to the idea of batting average, and batting average somehow, the low batting average somehow slugging percentage in an award for sluggers.
There's something
slugger.
I think there's a shift going on with there's still a certain set of writers who believe in, batting average and things like that. And I believe in batting average to a certain extent too, but I also believe in on base. I believe in slugging, so to me, it's a combination of all those things, but there are certain writers who are totally tied to the old school way of it. If this guy isn't batting 300, he doesn't deserve an award, even though he might have a 450 on base percentage because he walks a lot.
Yep.
Just as an example. And on a side note, this is my problem with Hall of Fame voting. And I'm going to use two players in particular, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Now, you can say what you want about them. Did they do this stuff? I don't think there's any doubt that they did. Were they Hall of Famers? And the good thing about them is we can basically identify when they started because of the size difference in them. Same thing with Sammy Sosa. You can identify when he started on his Flintstones vitamins.
Bonds' head just grew and grew.
Yes, and grew some more.
And the next thing you know, he couldn't even get his head in the door. No, I'm sorry. I don't know. That's like a children's story, like the story of Barry Bonds. And his head, he took the syringe, and his head grew, and it grew, and it grew until one day, he had to wear a size 12 hat.
And Yumper, I love your comment, Yumper. Steinbrenner should be in the Hall of Fame just for firing and hiring Billy Martin 200 times. But getting back to Bonds and Clemens, before, we can identify 1997 as when Clemens started, and we can identify 1999 as when Bonds started. And if you ever read the book Game of Shadows, which I highly, highly recommend, you get the inner details of why Bonds did it. And I get why he did it. I totally do. And I'm not going to do a spoiler alert, but I'm sure you can figure out what it is. Were they Hall of Famers before those dates? I believe they were. Clemens already had 3 Cy Young Awards, 86, 87, and 91. Bonds had 3 MVPs, 90, 92, 93. They were voted these awards before and after by a lot of these same sports writers who now are holding their vote for the Hall of Fame. Why did you vote for them for the awards if you felt they were cheating? But now, you know what I mean? It's totally hypocritical by the sports writers.
Yeah, protest voting is stupid to me. If they were the best of the best, and if they cheated, they cheated. Look, I'm maybe not a popular opinion. It's time to put Pete Rose in the damn Hall of Fame too, in my opinion. So I'm not someone that I think that there should be, if someone apologizes, if someone look, there are players that have come out and said I cheated. I am so sorry, but I actually respect that. Again, Sammy Sosa is welcome back at Wrigley Field the second he admits to it, because this whole damn game of this shell game of playing plausible deniability, when all the evidence and the leaked stuff, everyone knows Sammy's test was positive and they leaked it, and he denied it, never actually tested positive in a public, like they use all these legalese to explain away the fact that the dude was on the juice.
The same thing with David Ortiz. Exact thing with David Ortiz.
Everybody knows he was. And the dude had a reputation of being full of shit, whether it's the corked bat or I didn't leave early. Oh, wait, here's the tape, dumbass. Like, there's a lot of things. But all of that is forgiven if you just simply say, yeah, I cheated. But he can't. The ego of him, Rocket, and Barry, they live in this vacuum where they believe their own lies. They have now convinced themselves. It's kind of like the bad guy in a movie that convinces himself that somehow he's like Thanos. He's doing the right thing by eliminating, half the existence of the universe. These guys can convince themselves of anything. The ego that they have is that the slippery slope that led down the route to cheating like that builds that kind of mentality. Sooner or later, he has to look himself in the mirror and tell himself, "I'm not cheating. I love the game. I want to be good at the game. I'm just a competitor." Like, they've told themselves this over and over again, millions of times, and they believe it. And so it's that. If they could break that mold, there are things, Andy Pettit was honest. I think that, Rafael Palmeiro pissed me off too. Cause again, wag your finger and then you're a liar. Like, those guys, I have a problem. Yes. And Jack says it perfectly. The Cubs created that monster in the first place. There's a reason why Ryan Sandberg left. There's a reason why Mark Grace was fine with leaving. There's a reason why Greg Maddux was okay with being gone. What Larry Himes allowed Sammy Sosa to do is what leads to a guy like Kerry Wood absolutely blasting his boombox in the clubhouse finally one day. And Kerry Wood's over it. But today he tells the story much more passively. But let's be honest, when that happened, there was no peace about it. He was ready to kill Sammy, and he would have beat his ass. But that was the whole problem. And so those guys, if they came clean, I think that I believe in forgiveness. And like you said, most of their best numbers came. It was just that they continued to put up those numbers.
Yes.
If you were to take a Sandy Koufax career length and put that career length against what these guys do, those years, which are definitely before they got heads the size of cantaloupes, we're Hall of Fame material there too. Like, so everything Barry Bonds did with the Pirates was already Hall of Fameable. So it just, and with the Red Sox for Rocket, Rocket's just more of a dick. I mean, Barry's a dick too. But so is Jeff Kent. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a thing with baseball.
And Yumper, I want to answer or say something about your comment. And Yumper's comment is, difference is, I guarantee Ortiz is going to be in the Hall of Fame because the press likes him. You're absolutely right, but it would not surprise me because he's up for election this year for the first time. He gets voted on in December by the sports writers. And by the way, just a little plug, there will be a special Hall of Fame edition of either this or Pinwheels and Ivy, where we go through the Hall of Fame ballot, make our selections and why. Just an FYI, that's coming in the future. We're still in talks. And you're absolutely right. He will be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know if he goes in on the first ballot for the simple reason because of the sports writers being the biggest hypocrites in the world. Because if they put Ortiz in while Bonds and Clemens are still on the ballot, and this is their last year on the ballot, they're going to have to answer a lot of questions. Why are you putting this guy who was accused and not these guys who had much better numbers than the guy you're putting in who was accused?
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, and we know the voters are turds in a second for that anyway. Like, I remember, this just used to bother me. Ryan Sandberg What he didn't get his first time. First, he wasn't a first ballot selection, right?
Neither was Carlton Fisk. Neither one was first ballot.
And the response by the writers that voted against him was only this: he's just not a first ballot Hall of Famer. So somehow, in the time between votes in 1 year and the non-playing at all the next year, he's all of a sudden good enough to be in the Hall. If he's a fucking Hall of Famer, he's a Hall of Famer then. Just get it over with, you dicks. They are the worst. And I'm take it one step further. I'm more disappointed in Major League Baseball for not always making their votes public.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Posted publicly because we see what kind of dipshit they are and what vindictiveness they show and why some assholes accidentally vote for a reliever for MVP. Like these guys aren't even looking at some of the shit. It's like, so maybe a little bit of a spotlight there so we can see the accountability, so we can know which sports writers are on the level and which ones might be just doing it because they're assholes. Because some of them, assholes.
Yes. And let me just say this too.
Asshole.
A couple of years ago, White Sox Dave did a spoof Hall of Fame ballot where he left Jeter off. And he did it as a total spoof. You know how we all know it's a total spoof? He doesn't have a vote. So he printed out the ballot because it was widely available online to print. And he printed it out and he checked off the players and he made some ridiculous picks in there for Hall of Fame, but he left Jeter off. He got a shitstorm from people because Jeter missed by one vote from having 100%. He missed by one vote, and everyone came after him saying it was this dipshit from Barstool who didn't vote for him. That's why he doesn't have 100%. And his response is, do you clowns know that I don't have a vote and I did it as a spoof? And then this past year, I don't know if you ever saw that Tom Verducci video on MLB Network that he did about how it's so hard to vote for the Hall of Fame and everything else. Dave did a spoof of that where he's eating a meatball sandwich and he gets on his ballot and he's like, oh, I guess I'm voting for this guy because I stained it over here. You know, it just was priceless. These guys are so pretentious about all this crap. To your point, either the player is or is not a Hall of Famer. And you know, to Yumper's point about no player besides Mariano getting 100% is ridiculous, you're absolutely right. And I'll start at the top. Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Joe DiMaggio. How did none of these, Ted Williams, you know, how did none of these guys get 100% of the vote? How is that even possible? Hank Aaron, if you take away his 755 home runs, he still has over 3,000 goddamn hits. Think about that.
That's insane.
You know, it's insane how none of these guys got 100. Seaver, how did Seaver not get 100%? You know, the list you can go on and on with this list and everything else. And to your point about, Sandberg, and you know, we know Robbie Alomar didn't go in on the first ballot because of the spitting incident. That's why he was punished for the spitting incident. But either you are or you aren't. It's that simple. Do you look at a player and go, yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer? I mean, and that there's differences based on, you know, everybody has their own opinion about what a Hall of Famer is. And I think that's something for a healthy debate. There are certain players you look at and you go, yeah. Like, I'll give you one who I think is going to set the record for attendance in Cooperstown when he gets in. Ichiro. You look at that guy and go, yeah, that guy's a Hall of Famer. You know, you look at other guys and you go, I'll use Alan Trammell as an example. I don't think Trammell's a Hall of Famer. I know a lot of people do. I'm like, Hall of Very Good, Hall of Fame. No, just, you know, and it's not, I'm not meaning that as a slight to the player, but the bar is up here for me. You know, some people have it here, some people have it here, and that's fine. That's the great thing about it. It's not like the NFL where you have 6 people that have to go in every year. Some deserving, some, I mean, for every Peyton Manning, there's other guys who go in, you're like, is that guy really a Hall of Famer? Really? I don't think so, but whatever.
Well, you know, and we talked about the collective bargaining agreement, right? And so one of the things that are noticeably in the crosshairs of this is something that you actually noticed earlier and pointed it out to me that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Could we possibly see Chicago Cubs and Chicago White Sox baseball in Las Vegas in 2022? Explain.
I
Explain.
I most certainly will. So I was looking to plan a spring training trip the other day, and I looked at the White Sox schedule for spring training. And it struck me that on March 28th and March 29th, which is a Monday and Tuesday, with the season starting Thursday, March 31st, the Sox are scheduled to play 2 games against the Cubs. Now, this may not be a big thing, but both of these are road games for the White Sox and home games for the Cubs. Now, I would think that if they were going to play 2 games to end the season or end spring training, that they would do a home and home, where each one's home, each one's on the road. That seems the more feasible thing. But both of these games are Cubs home games, and we know that the Cubs usually play a couple games, usually 2, in Las Vegas during spring training. So the question is, would these be the 2 games that the Cubs have marked as their, Vegas trip spring training games? So that's just something that I looked at and I noticed. I thought it was interesting because usually what happens is with spring training, that Sunday is the final game. And then you have teams break off, and some like the Dodgers and Angels play a home and home series. And before the season starts, the Giants and A's play a home and home series before the season starts. The Sox and Brewers have played games at Milwaukee just because that's a dome and the Sox don't have a dome. So it's things like that. I know last year, I want to say the Sox played 2 games against the Diamondbacks before starting the season in Arizona. So I'm wondering if these 2 games are slated to be, could it be in Vegas? Maybe it could be the Montreal set, but usually that's Toronto who hosts 2 games in Montreal.
And the Cubs aren't going to usually go, because the Cubs have their games here. Like they usually,
yes,
that Vegas game here has been coming here for 20 years. So
yes,
and it's usually like the Reds or the Mets or the Dodgers. It's been a few times, I think, too. Trying to think of who else.
Didn't they do the Giants one time?
Probably. And then back in the day, they had, it was called the Big League Weekend, and it was like a bunch of teams, and they did a home run derby and everything.
Yeah.
It was pretty rad. But now it's just the Cubs will come in, they'll play a Saturday night game, I think. No, I think they're both afternoon games, actually. They both, because I always, it sucks. Whenever the Cubs play, I'll usually have a morning, because it's the beginning of the baseball season for us too. We'll have a Saturday morning game or a doubleheader, and my doubleheader will end at like noon. Because if I'm scheduling, I'm like, hey, we're gonna play that doubleheader. We're gonna start it at 8 a.m. assholes, because the Cubs play that day. So we'll play a doubleheader that's like 8 and 10. Game ends at noon. I'm in the back of the dugout, just pouring water on myself to clean up, and then I'm throwing on flip flops and a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and throwing on a hat and sunglasses. I got sunscreen on already. I mean, fuck it. So I'm always driving directly from wherever I'm coaching, which is usually the other side of town from where I live, and then I just go straight either Cashman or downtown Summerlin. Last time it was at downtown Summerlin, which was great, which is nice too, because we have access. Like I have access. I field access for the for anything to do with the 51s at this point. Whether it's my guy Jim is great, takes care of me. When the Cubs were here last time, I had full press credential. I was in the dugout. That's the game. Me and Chris were talking so long that we actually delayed the start of the game. They finished the plate meeting, and the usher had to come up and say, "Hey guys, they're getting ready to start." And KB's like, "Oh crap!" So I had to actually go in the dugout and then through the clubhouse to get out, because I couldn't go back around, because I'd have had to walk on the warning track out to this gate, which was another like 98, 100 feet down the line. So it's always fun when it's here, and it's great because, again, Vegas, it sells out in like 2 seconds, just gone. You throw the White Sox into it. Chicago is very popular here in Vegas. It's a great idea. So hopefully that is the case. Because this is where,
I'm wondering,
and Sox fans, Chicago fans, to come out to Vegas, then it's that tail end of the shitty weather in Chicago to get out here to Vegas instead of Arizona. Arizona's fine. Spring training's great, but let's be honest, you're going to go sit at a dive bar, maybe get a decent meal in Phoenix or anywhere in that area, but it's not Vegas. And you saw here coming here for the Bears game. I mean, last weekend, the Eagles fans came here. Eagles fans took over Vegas this weekend too. It's great. People just come out here, come to Vegas and party for a weekend. And that's around March Madness. So who doesn't want to come to Vegas during March Madness? All of it just makes a perfect amount of sense. And I think that the writing could be on the wall or should be on the wall. If they're smart, that should be the game that they do it. And if you see that scheduling snafu, that generally means something, or it's just a late split squad that nobody gives a shit about. But I don't know. I feel like they're trying to try and squeeze every penny out of everything, and having the Cubs play the Sox, you're not going to throw out, number 79 with number. Oh, well, actually, wait. The White Sox do have number 79, don't they? You're not going to say number 84 to go.
No, facing, there's an 84.
Son of a bitch! Everyone's wearing these damn wide receiver numbers. Knock it off.
Go 86.
86. There we go. Yeah, well, he'll be 86. Not gonna work here next week anyway. So those guys are definitely gone. But that would be pretty neat. So you heard it here. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed that there's a Vegas game, and we'll have a live podcast from somewhere that week. And I'll know, and we'll make it the Pinwheels. Stupid 108 guys better show their asses up too. Maybe bring in the entire Chicago podcast community for one big extravaganza here in Las Vegas, which would be pretty effing cool. And it just popped in my head. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll say this: Circa seems to be leading the charge on Chicago sports radio about being the Chicago place in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if maybe Circa might be the one sponsoring somehow.
It could be. I mean, that's
the Chicago series sponsored by Circa or some crap like that.
I'm sure they're going to throw in there. They'll have it.
Yeah.
I'm actually more infatuated with this idea of the Cubs White Sox Twitter extravaganza at Money Baby. So with that said, a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say. And if you get the chance, hit Money Baby. That place is awesome. Truffle everything. Truffle wings, truffle pizza, truffle everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to San Diego this weekend, too. So I'm actually, I don't usually feel this way. Usually I'm like, I crave certain things. Hodad's, which is one of my favorite burgers, and tacos and California burritos. I actually have a seafood. I got seafood on the brain. And I don't usually go to San Diego going, man, I mean, it's a great seafood place too. I'm not, but I'm actually going to San Diego going, all right, Friday night, where can we eat near the beachfront or with a perfect sunset view that has seafood, good seafood? So I think we're going to go to a place called Jordan or JORDN or whatever, JRDN, which is, I think, Jordan at Tower 23, I think. But I'm pumped about that because I don't know. I'm just sharing that I wanted some seafood, but
and I'll actually be in West Palm Beach. Playing some golf at PGA National with a Hall of Famer to be named later.
Very nice. And that means we're going to have coast to coast stories for you guys next week.
Yes. Ooh. Yes.
I promise they will be very interesting. But
and put it this way, the person whose golf outing it is, if you're a baseball fan, you will recognize the name immediately. He's one of those guys you could say, why didn't he get 100%?
Vince Coleman, I see. All right.
No, you're close though. Same team, Jack Clark. But
and I'll be going to it's been a while since I just kind of plopped down on the beach. So I intend on, obviously, we're going to go to brunch Friday morning, but we're going to plop down on the beach Friday afternoon. It's going to be actually like 75 degrees. It's going to be perfect. The thing is, I'm a little bit worried that I might get a little sand in my shoes, a little sand in my hair, a little sand in my crop. And that reminded me of that one time I walked in the desert and I saw these beautiful sand dunes in the distance.
Ooh.
Which leads me to our next discussion, which is this week, the very, very popular novel series and a kind of a remaking of a popular 80s cult classic film as well. This weekend, one of the big budget films of the year, Denis Villeneuve's Dune came out this weekend. So Dune came out in theaters and on HBO Max, and I know that you got a chance to see it, correct?
Yes, I went to the theater and saw it Friday night.
Same here. Saw it in the largest, biggest, one of the top 4 largest and loudest theaters in America, which was great. Incredible. So I will shut up because I have totally a huge in Yada is going to San Diego to see a glow in the dark juggling act. No. The gathering of the Juggalos is in Dearborn, Michigan. That's this summer. Wait, huh? Yeah. But so let's talk about it. I mean, what were your thoughts on Dune? You've seen the original, I assume.
Yes.
Compared to everything, what did you think?
Well, first, I know the original is considered a cult classic. I thought it was freaking awful. Awful, awful, awful. The original, I'm saying. Now, with the new one, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was extremely well done. And with Dune, there's so much material to cover. You cannot possibly cover it all in one movie unless it's like, a 12-hour movie or something like that. So I thought with what they shot, what they presented, how it ended, was absolutely on the right pitch. And I'll say one more thing. What's the main character's real name? Timothy Chalamet or something?
Okay.
For those of you on White Sox Twitter, he looks like Brian Billick. I kept looking at this guy on the screen. I'm going, it's Brian freaking Billick. I can't escape this guy.
All I get every time I see Timothy Chalamet is this.
Yes. It's Brian freaking Billick. But I thought it was great. I thought the camera work was outstanding. I did have one complaint about it. There were points where I had a hard time hearing the conversation between the mother and the woman who comes to test him.
The what is her the something supreme,
yes, the supreme being or whatever it is.
Supreme,
I had
priestess or whatever.
Right. I had trouble hearing some of that conversation in the theater, and it might have just been the mix in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sitting there going, what? But I thought the movie was fantastic. And the other thing I'll say is Oscar, is it Isaac Oscar or Oscar Isaac?
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. The first scene he appears in, I'm looking at him with that beard and I go, hey, check it out. It's Zac Efron. But overall, I really liked it, and I thought it ended. I don't want to give too much away in saying this, but I thought it ended how it had to end if some other things happened.
Yes, and of course to put it is also a 2 or 3 part series. It's already Like this isn't the whole story. This is
right.
I think this is A New Hope. This is the story standard or whatever. I tell you what though,
this is like the Fellowship of the Rings.
Yes, and with Timothy Chalamet, I can't help every time of Timothy Chalamet. I mean, I was so excited for Dune on Saturday morning. I got my booster shot on Friday. By the way, son of a bitch. Okay, my first 2 times I got the booster shot. The dude, I was through the National Guard or whatever, and they were just like, "Here you go. Here's the needle. Okay, now wait over there for 15 minutes. No problem, right?" Booster shot. I got it at the CVS. This son of a bitch, like fucking full on, like Norman Bates stabbed me. Like he did the stab. It was like, I'm like, I'm surprised he didn't do it. Like all I could think of is Pulp Fiction when he's like the stabbing motion downward, because I'm like, that mother is trying to break the breastplate. I'm like, it's my shoulder. So like I was so sore from that. He literally, like, I didn't have a mark the first 2 times. I had a welt from the dude. He gave me he was a stab. He stabbed me. That dude was just like, I'm having a bad day. F this guy. I'm like, ow. So anyway, so I got the booster, and so I woke up on Saturday feeling a little bit rough. It might have been the half a bottle of High West I also drank to celebrate my lollipop for getting the booster. But by the time the afternoon hit and it was time for Dune, I was really kind of a little bit worse for the wear. But the excitement that I felt to be able to go see Dune in gigantic Dolby everything, which is the most fantastic thing to watch a movie theater and I can't say. This is the only thing that kept popping. This is how I woke up. This is literally in my head when I woke up. Like, I rolled out of bed and this was me. My girlfriend hates me. This is immediately what came out of my mouth.
Yeet, yeet, skirt, yeet, yeet, skirt, skirt, skirt. Roll up, yeet, drop that, yeet, skirt that, yeet, pop that, yeet. Hey, 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 hey.
So that was me waking up. It was one of those best things ever done on Saturday Night Live. I was like, "Skeet, arr, arr." And yeah, I was up, Adam, and so ready. And we went to my favorite little spot called Sickies and got a little Sickies for a little lunch. I got chicken fingers this time, but couldn't really eat much. Like I was still feeling a bit blah. But my buddy, he's a saint. So we figured out this little secret, by the way. This is totally like a little, don't tell the people at AMC Town Square. But they let you bring in hydro flasks of water, like, stay hydrated, right? It's COVID,
Mhm.
My buddy thinks he's just smart. He just puts ice cubes in, pours the thing up about 3/4 of the way with whiskey, and brings it into the theater. So we were sipping on whiskey the whole movie. It was fantastic.
Well, the AMC by me, the one that I went to, which was Oak Brook, if you're like if you wear a hoodie and put a couple bottles of Coke Zero in your pocket on your hoodie, they don't ever check. Just walk right in. Well, they don't care.
Yeah, big for me is just so that and you know this if you've gone to an AMC, they have a bar called MacGuffin's.
Yes.
For some stupid reason on Saturdays, they don't open it up till 3. Well,
Really?
that's the movie started at 2:30, so I'm too late. So this happened so many times that I've gone to see like a movie, and in the past, pre-COVID, it was open at noon. I remember going to Avengers Endgame because we do again. This is the whole routine. We go to Town Square, which is it's kind of like a outdoor mallish kind of thing. It has like a yard house. It has a couple other places to eat. This place Sickies, and the movie theater's there as well. And
wait, now can I ask you a question about this?
Uh-huh.
Is that where the Raiders had their original Raider store and their offices at in this strip mall?
Yes, South Strip down there south of the Mandalay Bay.
Yes. Because that's where I went to sign the contracts with the Raiders.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a great place though on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They have all these places to eat. So like the big thing is, and me and my one of my best friends, Josh, we've been doing this for like 4 years now. I think at this point, my buddy H comes. It's a guest every weekend when I want to see a movie. And this is me again. When I come hell or high water, I'm going to go see it on Saturdays, especially. It's go get brunch, get bottomless mimosas. The Yard House there does bottomless drafts. I mean, so you got to pick your poison. I mean, of course, if it's like Avengers Endgame, it's 3 hours. You don't want to over drink because you're going to have to pee, but of course you're going to over drink and you're going to have to pee. So it happens. You're going to see the movie a second time. You come to grips with that. It's a come to Jesus moment. Drink a lot, enjoy the movie. So anyway, that's kind of like the running thing. So we'll go get bottomless mimosas. We'll eat some brunch. We'll get some lunch, whatever. Maybe get the grilled cheese and tomato bisque from Yard House, which is also fantastic. And then you go to see the movie after like 2 hours, 2.5 hours of the brunch. And so we did it Saturday, same thing. And I just couldn't drink as much this time, but we walk in and it's just a perfect place to just do that. So you get in the theater and you get settled. And this is even easier though, because if you have to go to the bathroom, you could just go back home and watch it on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, what did I miss? 5 minutes? It's like that old app. Do you remember the old app, Run Pee?
No.
Oh, you would put in like the time code in which you were going to the restroom, and it would tell you the best times during a movie to go to the bathroom.
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
You would have like the description of what happens during that little window. So you're like, okay, this is a boring time. This is a stupid scene. They're going to talk about his dead father and why he couldn't save Uncle Ben. Go to the bathroom now. You have 4 minutes. This is what you're missing. And it describes it. So while you're going to the bathroom, you're just reading the phone. Quick, you're back up in 4 minutes. And you didn't miss a thing. So it's called Run P. It was great. I don't know if it still even exists, but a very, very inventive app by any means. But the film itself, God dang it. The visuals of Dune were the closest that I've seen to Blade Runner 2049, which is the same director, but not the same cinematographer. The detail on the ships, the science fiction aspect, the beautiful thing about the sound and how loud and the vibrations, and of course the story of Paul as he can, not Paul this one, not Paul Yadog, but the other Paul. Is it Atreides?
Atreides, yes.
Atreides, Paul Atreides, and just that whole story and like. And my buddy brought it up. He goes, "The Emperor never is the Emperor even in it?" I'm like, I can't tell you. Is the Empress? I'm like, I can't tell you because I don't know. I have to have somebody explain some of it to me, which means I got to watch it again. But it's going to be a new science fiction franchise. I don't think it's going to disappear. I think this is going. I mean, it made $20 million plus its first weekend, which in a COVID era is fantastic. It made $200 million worldwide. So the reception worldwide was even greater. So I think you're going to see a sequel. And again, it's only part one, but I recommend it. And I'm sure maybe you would agree with me. If you're going to see it for the first time, see it in the biggest, loudest format you possibly can. You're doing yourself an injustice if you don't see it as big and loud as possible, because this movie was meant to be seen on that giant screen. It was meant to vibrate and make you feel that ship take off in your loins and maybe scare you on occasion and perhaps piddle yourself slightly. But that's because I'm old. Prostate.
Yeah.
What? Huh?
I would agree. And the other thing about seeing it on the big screen is there were a couple of previews before that for some outstanding movies coming. First is The Batman.
Oh, yeah.
With Robert Pattinson playing Bruce Wayne / Batman. I'll tell you, when I heard he was going to be playing it, I'm a Batman fan, big time Batman fan. And when I first heard he was going to be the one playing Batman, I'm like, the Twilight guy? Really? Then I saw him in Tenet, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's a little more there. But in the previews, it looks incredible. It looks incredible. Also saw the previews for the new Matrix movie coming, I want to say December 23rd, I think is the release date for that one. Batman's March of next year. The new Matrix is December 23rd, and it looks really, really interesting. And I'm curious to see how they position it, because I don't want to give it away, but I'm curious to see how they position it based on the events of the last three movies and how Neo is in this movie. Have you seen the preview yet?
Absolutely.
It's hard to describe. I don't want it. It's hard to describe without giving it away, and I don't want to give it away. But you question who is what is Neo doing?
What is Neo? I mean,
what is Neo, and when is this taking place?
Yep.
So I'll leave it at that.
Yep. And then there's that, and you mentioned Robert Pattinson too.
Yeah.
The dude is. I mean, if you haven't seen Good Times, you're missing out on it. If you liked Uncut Gems, Good Times is maybe theoretically could. I think it might be as good or better. Also by the same directors who are masters of suspense and creating anxiety. But Pattinson plays he's again the lighthouse. I know Yumper brought it. Yes, I did, Yumper. I did. I got really excited for the Matrix trailer. I was very excited. I needed a towel. Yes, and then you guys proceeded to take a dump on the Matrix and hurt my feelings. But and Yada, well, the really cool thing is the spoiler alert for the new Flash trailer. If you haven't seen it, they show a certain Batman at the end of the trailer, because that certain Batman is in the new Flash movie.
Would it be the Birdman?
It would be Birdman.
Yep.
Yeah, he comes out with jazz. So, but you've got these films that are going to continue to take on these iconic roles, and it's funny too. At one point, I believe that Warner, I believe that they had The Matrix and John Wick were both slated to come out like the same weekend for a second. And then they readjusted or whatever. But I remember they might be releasing it. This is before the pandemic, obviously. They might be releasing it like in the same week. They changed it a bunch. It was funny too when the Batman's trailer dropped. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out, I think, the week after. They bumped that 2 months to May now. It went from March to May 6th or May 8th or something like that. After the trailer for the Batman came out, I'm wondering if they were like, "Hey, look, they're starting to see the writing on the wall. Maybe it's not good to drop." Maybe give your rivals a little cushion to drop something, because of the way the cinema is right now, to bring it back. Everyone in the business, it can't be just about every dollar. It needs to be getting everybody comfortable enough to come back to the theaters and sit down in the seats and not feel like there's something floating around that's going to kill them in a virus. Right. So that's a big thing. And so I think maybe there is a little bit of like deference there, saying, hey, we'll take this. If you pull this, the Matrix comes out. Matrix comes out now in December, so it's not even not a May release either.
I want to say December 23rd is the date. I thought it said
something like that.
It comes out like right at Christmas.
Yeah, it's usually probably that Wednesday before Christmas, I think.
Yeah,
and 17th is that Friday, so something like that.
22nd, 23rd. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. So I'm good. Yeah, that stuff gets you excited. Eternals comes out in a little bit. That one, it's getting some good reviews and some bad reviews. So I'm curious. Again, I don't trust film critics as far as I can throw them, and neither of us should be throwing anybody with our bad knees, right there, Ed Rooney. And so the next one, though, speaking of old and a little bit ornery and a little grumpy, last night was the season premiere of Larry David. Curb Your Enthusiasm, and why don't we just go ahead and walk through that glass door and talk about it right now?
Larry David doesn't disappoint. Just when you think he can't get any grumpier, goofier, curmudgeon-y. I think curmudgeon-y is a great word for him.
It is really good.
It goes to another level. And, there's the whole 2-time glass door incidents, and I can't look at her ever the same way again. This is done. And, the COVID hoarder. Oh,
yeah.
And John Hamm trying to speak, Jewish, which was priceless.
Or the pool, what he finds in the swimming pool.
Yeah, so what he finds in the swimming pool, and the audition for the role
Mm-hmm.
as a result of what's found in the swimming pool.
Maria's
just yeah. And the El Taco Loco, or whatever the name of that place was, you see it and I go, that's an old Taco Bell. That's exactly an old Taco Bell.
So funny.
Like I said, I love the show, and and just when you think, what the hell else can he do? He finds something else to go after with the $6,000 and what did the guy have? Dementia?
Dementia, yeah. He's like, keep reminding the guy with dementia that he still owes him his money. And then the one lady goes in there, tries to get him to take back his oh yeah, you gave me a lifetime guarantee. I did that. Yeah. You don't remember? So bad.
Yes. So,
this was my part though, right here.
He's a COVID hoarder. Robert Brooks is a COVID hoarder.
Fucking COVID hoarder. COVID hoarder. John Hamm.
What the fuck? Look at this, John Hamm. What the fuck? That whole scene he's just like, that is a perfect Larry David finish. And the best part, even the acknowledgement between him and Albert Brooks, see you tomorrow, bud. Love each other. Anyway, but my God.
I just love when Albert Brooks is sitting there going, I hate that guy.
Yeah, and I actually, the Albert Brooks thing, I don't not dislike it. The idea of a funeral before you're gone for somebody. Yeah. There was a movie called Get Low with Bill Murray and Robert Duvall that came out a while back, and it was actually called about that. Bill Murray's character, I think he runs a funeral home, and Robert Duvall's character comes in. He's like a mysterious guy that's got a weird past, but he's got money. And he basically hires him to do a whole funeral while he's still alive. And the idea of, let people tell you what they feel about you before you get low. What the hell does it matter what you say to a dead corpse? I'm not there. I don't hear you.
Yeah.
The idea of hearing it before you're gone, that appeals to me a ton. Because you know what? I don't think we tell people that we care about and people we don't care about enough how important they are to pieces and places in our life. So, I mean, that's me.
I've told some people I don't care about what I think.
But I love that idea, the idea of being able to say, because saying goodbye to a vessels, I can go say goodbye to a tire. That ain't my dad. If that were to happen, saying goodbye to my dad would be saying goodbye to my dad. And so, I wouldn't want someone to pass without me being able to tell them. And I don't think I want to pass without being able to know how much people either like me, hate me, think I'm stupid or ridiculous or whatever. I'm good with that. That to me gives me more peace, because I'd rather people get it out. Because again, you say something to a dead corpse, they can't look you back in the eye and say, I'm sorry. Because sometimes you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Yeah. I'm not right all the time. I'm wrong. You're right. Everyone. And so I don't know. I love that concept. I love that idea. But Albert Brooks does not pull it off well.
No, he looks terrible.
Yeah. It's great though. It's so.
And I just love the last scene at the opera with their dates.
Oh, that's
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
so funny.
I thought it was great. And what's weird at the beginning of the episode when Larry David wakes up because he hears the noise,
Uh-huh.
I'm like going, please tell me that's Mocha Joe coming to smash his house or something. Just some red or Richard Lewis, you know?
Oh yeah. Richard Lewis. Wait, is
'Cause-
he still alive?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Phew.
I know he's been really sick lately, but I believe he's still with us.
So bad. They're like, who's in the pool? Oh, it was the last thing Norm Macdonald filmed before.
Yeah.
A little too soon.
Right.
But it was a good episode, man. Susie plopped.
Yes.
I mean, she plopped. So he's back with a vengeance. That's a great
Yes.
show. I don't know if you
Yes.
watched Succession, but Succession is back as well. I think they're in the second or third episode. Great show if you haven't watched it yet. A really good kind of corporate drama. I feel like Billions, very similar, but about family.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Game of Thrones in the modern business empire. Also, with some new episodes, is Doom Patrol on HBO Max. Awesome. Great DC.
Yes.
Kind of like the Deadpool of DC, kind of.
Mhm.
And Yumper will attest this. Yumper just jumped on the. I got him binge watch this week. I will take a little bit of responsibility, but he actually binge watched Wanda. He binge watched.
WandaVision?
And he binge watched Winter Soldier as well. So he got them all knocked out this week. So Yumper's a trooper, and I think he actually likes it. I think he a decent. I think he enjoyed those because it's fun. They're like long episodes, like long movies.
Yeah. And I think Yumper was, if I read his tweets correctly, I believe he was at the Bulls game Saturday night.
Yes.
Hanging with Buzz and some others as well.
Alex Ruiz, I think was Prof there? Was Prof there? Was Jesus Strawman? I don't know. But yeah, that was good. That's the one thing I'm really jealous about right now is I cannot go to Bulls games with everybody right now. I'm here, so that really sucks. I'll have to go to UNLV games alone with my thoughts and my tears. But a lot of good stuff that came out though. So, and then this weekend we've got some really good stuff coming out as well. If you're a huge Wes Anderson fan, this weekend will be the release of his newest film. Right, I keep getting it mistaken with the Thomas Licorice Pizza is the Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes, which I saw a preview for, and it was just, this looks weird.
It looks interesting, but again, it's what's it called? Last Night in Soho comes out this weekend, which is the new film from Edgar Wright, the Baby Driver, Shaun of the Dead. It's the one where the girl she's like a fashion designer. She keeps waking up in 1960s, and there's she's got like a pairing with another woman, and like she basically witnesses her murder or something. I don't know. It looks pretty interesting. And then it's kind of funny actually. Ghostbusters is coming out in the theaters this weekend as well. But I don't see it again. I don't see the Wes Anderson film here at least. Oh, that makes me sad.
I think that's a couple weeks down.
The French Dispatch. Well, I think it's open in Chicago. You can, it opened October 22nd. So I think Chicago, New York, and LA, you could watch it. No, it's here. It's here on Thursday. Okay, so it's just not at my theater. Okay, it's not at my theaters. Okay, whatever, AMC. Or maybe they haven't posted it yet. Jerks. Hold on, let me look here. Because I need to see that one. No, that's Ron's Gone Wrong looks pretty good, though. Nope. They don't have it in either one of those. I guess I'll just have to pay. I guess I'll have to pay for my movie ticket again instead of using my AMC Stubs list.
One of the best perks out there, AMC Stubs.
Absolutely. 3 movies a week, $20 a month. Reserve your seats. Get every medium drink you get, it's a large. Every medium popcorn you get, it's a large. No waiting in line. You can pre-order your food. You get discounts. You get $5 every time you spend what? Is it $50?
Yes.
Spend
And
50
30% off on matinees.
Oh yeah, that's right too. And also, and I don't know if they do it there, you can actually watch NFL football games.
Yes, they do.
You have to pay $10, but it's a $10 promise. It's basically a $10 concessions fee. So you can go use $10. You reserve your seat, you pay $10. When you get there, you can use the $10, and the $10 goes for concessions. You can buy a hot dog and drinks. So it's actually, I've done it a few times where I watched like a Bears game in the theater. It was like me all by myself, basically, which is great. I brought my weed. But I had some beer and I watched the Bears game, and the $10 pays for a hot dog and a drink. It was perfect. So I'm like, really, I just bought a hot dog and a drink and found a really comfortable place to watch a game. So that's kind of cool. That's another Stubbs list thing, though. If you're not a Stubbs list member, that you're not included in that. So it's kind of cool. You feel like a VIP. They're like, look at you, and they're like, look, it's a Stubbs list member. He's cool. And then they high five you. And no, they don't do that. I'm sorry. And no foot massages either. I asked. Bastard. But okay. On the footnote, hey. We got a big week this week, though. We got we got the World Series kicking off. The Bears have a big one. Who is this week? This week,
the Niners. The Niners at Soldiers Fields.
Soldiers Fields with Justin's Field behind a makeshift offensive line. But
yes.
One more week left, and we get Montgomery. Hopefully, get Monty back too. But this maybe it's curious to watch the Bears this week with Matt Nagy in isolation. How will his coaching staff handle everything without him? And what happens when Matt Nagy is no longer the head coach for a second? I don't know. I'm curious.
And not only that, also, how prevalent is this COVID outbreak? That is something to be very mindful of as well. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that Vegas has already installed the Niners as a 4-point favorite.
Just for that credibility, that possible.
That was last night. So that was before the news even came out about Nagy. Ooh. So I'm wondering if the lines moved even more since then. I haven't looked.
Total incredible turn of events on Sunday morning. I totally gotta limit this. I woke up 9 a.m., hopped on my app, Raiders -2.5. I like it. It's great. I'm going to take it. I think they're going to win. They're at home. They're going to play well. Game's going on. Around 12:30, my buddy Adam Hill tweets, incredible. The line had moved from -2.5 in that time period to pick 'em.
Really?
All the Eagles fans must have woke up and gone right to the book and laid heavy on the Eagles at the last minute on their way to the game because it was insane here. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if that even affects the line as much anymore, if they're pushing sides or whatever, but I got it as pick 'em, so I quadrupled my bet. I'm like, I already liked it. Now I really like it. And they blew them out. So
I can tell you this. My 4 Raiders tickets for the Eagles game. Those were the second highest tickets I've sold. The Monday night opener being the first, and I'll just throw these caveats out. Obviously, I didn't sell the Bears tickets because I went to the game, and I charged Wally and Dan and Petyo who were with me. It was like, just give me face, My 2 nieces are going to see the Chiefs game. They'll be in Vegas for the Chiefs game. So I'm not selling those. And to be honest with you, if they weren't sold already, I don't know how much they would sell for with the way the Chiefs are playing these days. And especially considering Mahomes is in concussion protocol now. So you don't know what his status is for Sunday if he's in concussion protocol.
It's true. Hey, I went to Denver and had to watch Tim Tebow versus Caleb Haney. So I don't feel
God.
Anybody, because Marion Barber's dumbass can't stay in bounds. Oh, I smuggled a whole 1.5 liter of Jägermeister into Mile High. That's one of my prouder moments. It went through my pant leg as I went through the turnstile. It fell through my pant leg and went clink onto the metal on the turnstile. I'm like, shit. And I dropped down. I'm at my ankle. I went to tie my shoe or whatever, and I put it in my beanie, and then I handed my beanie to my friend as I'm walking away. The guy goes, "Hey, sir." I'm like, shit, they caught me. Because you forgot your ticket stub. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. And walked on in, shared it with the whole section, was best friends with everybody by the time the game was over. Because we were just sharing randomly. I mean, obviously, if someone had herpes, I was fucked. Because we were just sharing that model. Like it was, but these are all season ticket people, because it was my friend's season tickets. So that's who I went to the game with. So I was with the people that he's known for. His parents have had season tickets since '69, I think. Mm-hmm. So these people have been around him forever. So me sharing it all up now, unfortunately for him, every time he goes, "Where's Kevin?" Yeah, dude, you went to one game, and they ask me about you every game. I'm like, I don't know. That was pretty damn fun. I don't know. I almost did stand-up comedy that night at a bar because I was dared. So that was a fun one. I have much whatever remember of it, but but yeah, I mean, this is we got some curious stuff coming up. I know that I'm going to be going to the hopefully maybe I am going to go to the Skins game or whatever they're called the
Washington football team,
WTFs or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me, I got an email today for music fans. There is going to be in the end of February. There are 2 concerts that are scheduled to take place at Allegiant Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
So on Friday, February 25th, it is Metallica and Greta Van Fleet.
That's such a weird combo, by the way.
Wait. This gets better. So then on Saturday, February 26th, the next night, following Metallica at Allegiant Stadium is Billy Joel.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And November 6th, here in 2 weeks,
is, ladies and gentlemen, the Rolling Stones.
And I'm going to be down on the field for that one. That'll be great.
You could count the wrinkles in Mick's face.
I'm going to smell Jagger's balls. I'm like, smells like aged success. And
you might smell the pickled Keith Richards too.
Oh my God, yeah. He actually might smell like formaldehyde. I'm not entirely sure you can. But this weekend too, I'm going to San Diego. Specifically, I'm going for a concert with my girlfriend too, which I'm pumped. It's 2 of my favorite bands, 2 of my top 5 in the world, which is Deer Tick and Delta Spirit. Delta Spirit, actually, I've seen Delta Spirit. This is, I think, like show number 16, I think, of my life. This is probably like show 11 for Deer Tick. If you haven't heard them, look them up. It's Delta Spirit and Deer Tick. They're starting their tour. It's the Saturday night, so it's technically the Halloween show, which is going to be in San Diego at the at Observatory, at the North Park Observatory, I believe it is. I have no idea what to expect because it's going to be California. It's going to be San Diego. It's going to be these guys. Last time these guys played on a Halloween, they dressed up like the Mario Brothers crew and jammed in the Nirvana covers. Like, they're fantastic. And then Delta Spirit, last time I saw it, Matt Vasquez, the lead singer, I think he did a guitar solo hanging upside down from the rafters. I mean, these guys just kill it. Deer Tick is the band that I went to see here in Vegas, where I got so drunk that I walked in the middle of the night and peed in the fridge. So that's always a great story. But these guys bring out some animalistic behavior in my part very much. So Carrie hopefully is a saint. She babysits me a little bit this weekend because it might be the last time these guys ever tour together. I'm going to go nuts for it.
But the big question, are there juggalos there?
No. The Dance of the Juggalos will not take place until the great Malenko returns from the great beyond in the Carnival of Carnage. All I can think of is that It's Always Sunny episode where the Hauser guy from does the he's a juggalo at the high school, and Sweet D tries to take him Charlie tries to take him under his wing. That guy's hilarious. The guy who played Richard Jewell, he's hilarious. But yeah. Anyway, so that'll be this weekend. So I'm pretty pumped. So I'll get myself a beach sunset, which I think I need. Haven't had one in a bit. So other than that, though, I got nothing. Thanks for tuning in. From my end, I'm gonna let Pete take them out. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know Pete does as well. But always tune in. Give us a like. Give us a follow. Give us a review. Give us a if you wanna buy us a beer, you can buy us a beer in the link on our SoundCloud page or our Anchor page. If you don't want to buy us a beer, you can just send us a Venmo request and we'll buy you a beer. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know about that, assholes. No. But thank you guys again for tuning in. Those of you guys in the chat, appreciate you guys tuning in as well. We do appreciate you guys. Now that we're doing this live form. Yeah, send us the ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, just thanks for tuning in though. Here. Now take us out, Pete.
All right. As was said, and I see we got someone else joining us, loving the Juggalo talk. Justin's loving the Juggalo talk. But thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Any ideas, questions, comments? Tell us we're great. Tell us we suck. We're adults. We can take it. Might cry a little, but we can take it. But thank you for tuning in. The greatest gift you can give us is your time. And with that, aloha.
Cool. And by the guys in the chat, thanks for tuning in still. I know you guys are still there, but Yeah, but you missed. I don't know if you heard the Dune talk. We did some Dune talk. So, all right, guys,
Yes.
tune in. And also make sure you guys tune in to the actual. Check out the original or the actual posted version because that does not. This one does not include Deep Thoughts by Yeah Dog.
By Yeah Dog.
So we got some Yeah Dogs coming for that too. So you want to hear the Yeah Dogs, you got to listen to the actual podcast, or you can just listen to the beginning, fast forward to the end, or you can just start at the beginning, listen to them, and then just let it play on mute. That's always
Yes.
a good way. But
And
thanks.
we're still live.
Yeah, that's what I was telling these guys
Okay.
in the chat. Thanks a lot because
Yeah.
there's two of them that are still there. Thanks a lot, guys. Though we'll see you guys next
Thank
week.
you. Have a good one. Peace out.